Okay, America, wartime money, part 4. Well, I decided to separate off the Philippines into its own area so that I can do both its coins and these wartime era notes together. So, starting with the coins here. The coins are usual except for their alloys, which in most of these cases are very minor tweaks. So the 1944 S centavo, unlike all the centavos of this design and the previous design from 1903 to 1941, differs in that it is 95% copper and fully 5% zinc without tin. The previous one, that last 5%, was a roughly equal mix of tin and zinc, exactly equivalent to the change made for the 1944 1-cent pieces for stateside to save on tin. Now, the 5-cent had a somewhat different thing. Instead of being either made of brass, like for Cuba, or silver, like Dominican Republic or the stateside nickels, the 5-cent pieces here are actually made of German silver, which is to say it has some copper, it has some nickel, it also has a fairly significant amount of zinc. But they don't seem to look much different than they before. So you can see there, 1944, this one's from Philadelphia, it had no mint mark. Then they went to making these in San Francisco, same alloy. So, but the difference is that it has the S mint mark. So they made these out of that German silver alloy, as they call it. It's funny they call it German silver. There's no actual silver in it. So 5 centavos, Filipinas, United States of America, 1945, and there in the corner is the S. And the little ribbon at the bottom, if you could read it, but it's way too small and probably rather blurry on this Commonwealth of the Philippines. So that's what they did to save wartime metals. Now we move over to the paper money. Now these are pretty much what they had looked like before and would continue to for a short time thereafter in terms of these denominations of paper money. However, the biggest difference is that these came out around the time MacArthur is, he promised he would return, and then he does return there, walking up to the shores of Leyte, and he comes in bringing the American army with him, and they're going to drive out the Japanese, and even before they win, victory is in the air. And this series, it says Victory, series number 66, and it says it there too, is celebrates that or anticipates that, spreading the hope until it's happened by putting the word victory there, which then once the Japanese have been driven out, that continues for some period as like a celebration. We have victory, we're hoping for it, and then we have it. So this is the 1 peso, and you can see on that is Mabini, and it says, by authority of an act of the Philippine legislature approved by the President of the United States, June 13, 1922. So that would be when this basic Treasury certificate would have been approved, and probably with a fairly similar design, but with various variations. This certifies that there has been deposited in the Treasury of the Philippines 1 peso payable to the bearer on demand in silver pesos or in legal tender currency of the United States of equivalent value. So, okay. So, that's kind of neat. 1 peso has this very orange color. Okay. 2 peso features the same words. It is also a Victory, series number 66. Series number 66. And it has the same thing here, Treasury certificates at the top, and the usual same verbiage. In this case, we have Rizal over here. And on the back, once again, it says victory. 2 pesos, and it's blue. Very dramatic difference there. Next denomination up, also of the Victory Series number 66. Victory Series number 66. This time we have McKinley, and we also have Dewey. So we have the president when the United States acquired the Philippines from the Spaniards, and Dewey was one of the lead, admirals involved in that war. So this is for 5 pesos. It's a treasury certificate. It says all the same things. Only now we're up to 5 pesos, silver pesos, or legal tender currency of the United States or equivalent value. And we have sort of the same thing here. Now the back is yellow, and there's victory written across the back. And then the next one up is also Victory Series number 66. Now this is at 10 pesos. And on here we have Washington. It's 10 pesos. So, and this time the reverse is brown, again with victory right across the back. Continuing up, we have 20 pesos. In this one case, instead of a portrait of a person, we have the famous Mount Mayon of the Philippines. And it is 20 pesos. All the same thing, victory number 66. And here we have a light sort of beige tan look here. And again, it says victory. And you see also the Commonwealth symbol similar as you would see on the back of the coins of the Commonwealth. Next denomination up, it's the 50 pesos. And again, victory 66, treasury certificate. Says the same things. This time we have Lawton. He was an important leader in the war to drive out the Spanish. This background, as you can see, is red. And again, now once again, you have the Commonwealth motif here. The next denomination up, you come up to the 100 pesos. It's also victory 66. And so, but now this is 100 pesos. So now we're getting up here, these denominations, which would have been the equivalent of $50, because throughout this whole time, the Philippine peso and the American dollar were fixed at a 2-to-1 ratio. 2 Philippine pesos to 1 American dollar. So, here is the reverse. And again, you've got victory. There's that Philippine symbol again. Commonwealth. This time a kind of funny greenish, yellowish, whatever sort of color. And finally you get up to the highest denomination they made this in, which was the 500 pesos. And again, also Victory Series number 66. All the same things. 500 pesos treasury certificate. All right. And in this case, it is adorned with Legazpi. So, and his backside is this sort of purpley color. 500 pesos. Now, one other interesting difference on this, and I can't say I'm totally understanding what that is. Sorry, I don't know more about that. Is that this one says that it has Central Bank of the Philippines stamped on it. So, that just goes to show that, so there they all are. Okay, well, let's go back to the front sides and then we'll move on. So these were the paper denominations. These are the Philippine money for the World War II era. Now, there was really no special property of these. These are just plain meant for the Philippines. We pretty much were saying that when we were sending the army in and quite determined to drive out the Japanese. There really wasn't much question that, of course, we would, because now, we really had, made some real progress in World War II, and the tide was turning towards the Americans. So, like I said, the victory mostly just celebrated that victory would be coming, and then that it had come. So, Now, as we move over to the next one other category, and now we're done with these foreign coins, foreign monies that are made in America. We have one more also made in America, and these were also, again, used for overseas use, but the one difference being that they were for very specific areas where America had fairly important not only military bases, but also particular places where a lot of Americans who, even though it was only a matter of territory, in the one case like Hawaii, or just a lot of American military in the other case. But let's start with Hawaii. Again, Japan had attacked Hawaii, which brought America into the war with the attack on Pearl Harbor. There had also been an attack on Midway Island, and so it was feared there could be more attacks and the Japanese might take it over. So we printed up special money, Federal Reserve notes for $5, $10, and $20. The $1 was always made as a silver certificate, because up to that point, Federal Reserve notes were never made at anything less than $5 in terms of a denomination, and the United States note, $1, was a long gone thing. So all we have here is the silver certificate, which has the brown serial and treasury seal and serial numbers, as do all of these, to indicate, to set them apart from their other one, the regular ones for stateside that would have had blue seal and serial numbers, and same or green serial numbers and treasury seal for the Federal Reserve notes. And in this case, all the Federal Reserve notes, by the way, were from the Federal Reserve Bank of San Francisco, in particular, the 12th, or letter L. They also put the word Hawaii in those two places on the front, and then also stamped it on the back in a manner similar to how the word victory was put in on the Philippine ones, you see. And that was to again point up the fact that these were specifically meant for Hawaii, so that in the event the Japanese should somehow manage to take Hawaii, they say we can just devalue this money, and right away they have nothing. So that's what we did, and that's how we handled that, and it definitely was a good protection there. So let's take a little bit more detail what we have here in terms of the collection. Okay, we have, starting over here, the silver certificate $1 is a series 1935A, as was the regular state size $1 silver certificate in 1935A. Now, the $5 Federal Reserve note exists both as series 1934 and as series 1934A. Then the $10 also existed only as a series 1934A. But the $20 again exists in both series 1934 and 1934A. Now, across the world, in North Africa, perhaps a bit of Southern Europe, we also used some silver certificates for the soldiers in the in that front, near where the Germans were, presented a similar threat of conquering and taking over a lot of American money, which again we would like to be able to devalue at a moment's notice without having to devalue all of it around the world. So, and especially within ourselves, so that our country, in the home country. So in this case, silver certificates would normally wear blue serial numbers. This number here is blue as well as the serial numbers, and same here and here in the serial numbers. You see, it was just typical for your silver certificates that existed in these three denominations. And in the case of the 5 and 10, the numbers, the 1, they were no longer colored, that was gray. But you would have the treasury seal, instead of being in a matching blue, was instead made yellow, a very subtle indication that these could be devaluated at a moment's notice if there was a need to do that. And once again, you have a series 1935A there. You have a series 1934A there. And for the $10, you had a Series 1934 without an A, and then Series 1934 with an A. And that completes the American wartime money of for the American areas that are controlled directly by the military or by the territories of the United States. But next we will be moving into other wartime money. But for now, this is what we have.